prairie. In the year 1886, some folks got real well acquainted with the western range and its tricks. A young cowboy named Charles M. Russell was laid off when fall roundup was o'er, so he rolled his gear in his blankets and he headed for the settlement store. He was hired by Kaufman and Stadler to winter 5,000 head of beef, and there's a picture that now tells the story of the western range and its grief. They had lots of hay on the feedlots, and the outfit sure looked up to snuff, but he had no way of knowing that the feed he had wasn't nearly enough. So he started in feeding them heavy. Though the blizzards they raged early fall, and when the real winter came in a roaring, there was hardly no feed left at all. He couldn't get into the settlement to send word to his bosses, you see, 'cause his horse couldn't get through the snowdrift. 'Twas mighty hard on man and on beast. Now the freeze up it lasted and lasted, with the cowboy confined to his shack. 'Twas nigh as hard on him as the cattle, as the snow drifted in through the cracks. Then finally the blizzards abated, so a tally of sorts could be made, but the only sight left there to greet him were the snow mounds where dead cattle lay. Then one day as he rode down the coulee, a low moaning sound was heard, and there standing directly before him was the last dying cow of the herd. The old cow was almost a goner as she gave her last mournful wail. Her ribs stuck out like a basket, and the meat was froze from her nose and her tail. When at last he got into the settlement, a letter awaited him there. 'Twas a message from his big bosses, asking how their cattle had fared. He couldn't express in a letter the picture that passed through his mind. No, he couldn't find words for a letter, though he tried it 1,000 times. Then he picked up the pen and the paper, and the lines seemed to flow from his hand. Instead of a letter, he sent them a picture, the last of the 5,000 brand. Now the picture has now long been famous, as it hangs in the yard hall so grand. It's a story in plain cowboy's language, the last of the 5,000 brand.